I'm Dr. Sean Pastuch, owner and founder of Active Life.
I'm Dr. Ray, Director of Staff for Active Life.
Today we're going to talk to you about how people get hurt. We're going to use a very simple example that we teach in our workshops and in our coach immersion called load versus capacity. And we're going to use big rocks, little rocks, and sand and water to represent 4 different factors that lead to injury.
Each one of these cups represents a different person with different needs. The sand for each one of these people represents things that have happened in their past, anatomical defects. For example, you rolled an ankle and it never quite healed the same as your other ankle. You have a disc herniation that shows up on an MRI. You sprained your knee once playing soccer. All of those things, they're non-changeable. They're going to be there. Now, the gravel, the red rock, represents sleep, diet, and stress. And at different times of your life, this box can go up or down. The boulders at top, the river rock, these represent your functional diagnosis. We classify your functional diagnosis as a summation of everything going on for that person. Your flexibility, your mobility, your strength balance, how much do you work versus how much do you recover, and your skill. The water is going to represent your needs and wants.
So as you can see, the water is measured. Right here, we have 1,000 milliliters or 1 quart. What we're going to do is we're going to see how much activity people can take. This might be you going rock climbing. It might be you playing on the weekends with your kids. It could be you in the gym. The idea that we want you to understand is that if anybody in the world has what you had, the sand at the bottom of the cup, and they don't have pain, and they're doing the same things that you're doing, the reason is probably because of the amount of other things that are in their cup and how much they're able to add to that. For our first person, this person seems to have the highest amount of pre-existing conditions. Maybe they had a surgery in their past. They have a moderate amount of gravel. The more gravel, the worse their recovery patterns. So maybe this person recovers okay. And they have 2 fairly large rocks in there. Let's see how much activity they can take before it spills. And there we go. We're on the table. They, not accounting for what I spilled, were able to take about 300 milliliters of activity. Person number 2 is not the same as person number 1, but they showed up at the gym for the same workout. Remember, person number 1 had 300 milliliters of activity for their day that day. Let's see what person number 2 has. And we're spilling. Person number 2, well, they were able to take 400 milliliters of activity before they started to experience discomfort. So remember, all 4 of these people showed up at the gym for the same workout. None of them had pain when they got there. Person number 1 was able to get through 300 milliliters of activity before they ended up in pain. Person number 2, 400. Let's see what person number 3 can handle. And we're spilling. So, person number 3 was just about 350 milliliters before they started filling and spilling. Now they're in pain. So person 1 had 300 milliliters of activity before they overflowed and ended up in pain. Person 2 had 400, and person 3 had 350. What I find interesting about person 2 to person 3 is if you notice, person 3 actually has more stuff going on that they have no control over. More pre-existing conditions. Now let's take a look at person 4, who has far and away the least amount of pre-existing condition, the best recovery habits, and a fair amount, about the same amount of functional diagnosis as everybody else. Person number 4 is killing it. Good, we're good, we're good. And person number 4 is spilled over at right around 500 milliliters. So, what'd you learn? What you should have learned was that Despite the fact that all 4 of these people showed up at the same gym on the same day, at the same time, and did the same workout, they had very different experiences. Because of the variety of pre-existing conditions represented by sand, and recovery habits represented by small red rocks, and functional diagnosis, their limitations in range of motion, their strength imbalances represented by the big rocks, the amount of activity that they could handle varied by a long shot. You need to know how your body is performing before you walk into the gym. You didn't get hurt in the gym. You found out you were hurt because you did things in the gym and you overloaded yourself beyond the capacity that you had. So, how do we fix these problems? What are our solutions?
So here's what typically happens. You go to your doctor, and if going to the gym was the thing that, quote unquote, put you in pain, your doctor tells you, just don't go to the gym. But you know that it wasn't just the gym now. So what can we do? We can start decreasing some of your functional diagnosis. You have an ankle that doesn't move the way it should, and when you squat, you get low back pain. Let's take that out of the equation. We can start to increase your sleep habits. We can start to look at your diet. We can start to look at the amount of work that you're doing versus the amount of recovery that you're doing. Maybe we take you off of a 3 days on, 1 day off, and put you on 2 days on, 1 day off. That allows you to then handle more.
The other thing that you can do, you should do that first. Once you're done decreasing your load, we want to help you increase your capacity. That can handle all the sand, rocks, gravel, and water. If you feel like any water that you add into your cup is causing you pain and you want our help to figure out which rocks, what sand, what gravel maybe we can pull out of your cup so you can add more water, have more fun, play with your friends, work out without pain, click the link in bio, schedule a free call, and we'll let you know if you're a good candidate to work with us. If you are, we'll get straight to helping you. If you're a coach who wants to be able to do that for your clients, slide into the DMs and let's talk about getting you into our immersion course.